Welcome, everybody, to the next installment of the Risk Management Subcommittee's Risk Management videos. I'm Matt Johnson, Counsel of the New Hampshire Realtors. With me today is Beth Ottana, one of the members of our committee, as well as Marrielle Van Rossum, an attorney at my office at Divine Millimet. The topic today is service animals and emotional support animals. Beth, let's start with you. In what circumstances does this issue mostly arise and impact realtors?
Sure. Matt, I think this comes up most often when we're on the listing side of the transaction and a prospective buyer appears either at an open house or a showing and has an animal with them. We'd love some guidance as to how to handle that.
Well, that's what we're here to try to do. So, Marrielle, you're the guidance person. First question out of the box is, what's the difference, if there is any, between a service animal and an emotional support animal?
Sure. So this is actually a really great threshold question. A service animal is going to be a dog. It's only going to be a dog. And think of it as in place of a wheelchair or an oxygen tank. The service animal is doing an actual job for a person because of a disability. They're not a pet. Of course, the person who owns the service animal is going to have to take care of the service animal the same way. You're still responsible for cleaning up after them, but the dog is there to do a job. So when you're running through these scenarios, replace service animal with wheelchair, and a lot of the answers come up that way. Another category is an emotional support animal. And that's where sometimes you can see these really wackadoo stories in the news about an emotional support alligator or what have you. The rules around support animals are a little different, and we're going to be really thinking more about what's a reasonable accommodation for someone who really needs this animal for a specific reason.
So in the scenarios that Beth touched on, where say it's an open house and a prospective buyer brings clearly a service animal, all right, is there any guidelines that a listing agent should have in mind in that scenario? And again, it's clearly a service animal.
Okay. Purely service animal. So I think even to back up before what to do when somebody comes to the door is maybe put it out there that if you have an owner who's listing their house for sale and maybe they have an allergy or they really strongly do not want animals in, maybe you put it out there that, if somebody has a service animal, like just give a heads up first, let us know, and then you can kind of be prepared that so-and-so is coming at 2:00, they have a dog, and you're going to just kind of make these precautions. And also, hopefully it takes the referee role away from the realtor, because it's really, you don't want to be in that position of calling balls and strikes and who's in and who's out. It's not your house at the end of the day. But so say we are in that situation and you have someone who clearly has a disability, clearly has a service animal, the owner is opening their house to the public. So you're going to err on the side of letting that person come in. I don't care if they're beautiful white carpets and marble floors. I would probably be letting that person in. And that's another reason why you probably want to have that conversation with the buyer ahead of time, so things aren't so awkward.
That's a great advice. A little bit of forewarning really sets the stage. So what happens if it's the harder case and there is no forewarning and someone shows up because it's an open house, you don't have to schedule it, and they have some form of emotional support animal that's not a dog? What should any tips for the agent running the open house in that scenario?
Okay, so there we can be a little bit more, I don't want to say strict about who's coming in or out, but we can be a little bit more open and be a little bit more of a gatekeeper. So generally, under whatever law we're looking at, you can ask two questions, which is this animal here because of a disability? And if so, what does this animal do for you? And if we're not dealing with a dog, we're dealing with an emotional support rabbit for, I don't know, someone's coming in with a little something under their arm. HUD has some guidance where, an owner or the realtor, you can ask for some sort of documentation showing not necessarily why you need this animal, but what the animal does. Or, maybe a note from your psychiatrist saying, yes, Marrielle really needs her rabbit with her. And I say this. You don't really go into diagnoses or asking for medical history. And you can be more of a gatekeeper there. You say, you know what, the owner really doesn't want animals in here. It's not a service animal. Do you mind having your spouse wait with the animal and you can come in and take turns? Is that okay with you? And have a little bit more of a dialogue.
That's great. So it really seems like the key threshold issue in all of this is whether it's determining whether it's a service animal or an emotional support animal, because that issue is really going to drive the analysis and dictate what level of inquiry a listing agent, either at a listing or an open house, can do in such a situation.
I think that's accurate.
Good. Beth, that hopefully gives some guidance to the realtor community, you think, on how to handle that topic?
Yes, it definitely clarifies some things. I appreciate the information.
Great. Well, thank you everybody for listening to this video. We hope you enjoyed it. Be on the lookout for future videos from the Risk Management Subcommittee. Marrielle and Beth, thank you for helping and providing such useful information to the membership. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.